Hey everybody, thank you for joining Taurus Tech Talk. Today we have Mr. Aaron Rubner from AVTEQ.
How you guys doing today?
And for my counterpart, Corey Church, myself, Robert Parsons. Thanks for joining us.
Afternoon.
Thanks.
So Aaron Rubner, one of my most favorite people in the industry. We've known each other quite some time, huh?
Yeah, it's going on 12, 13 years, something like that?
Thought you were about to throw another digit in there behind there and make me feel older than I already am.
It's got to be longer than 13 years because I've known you 12.
All right,
yeah,
so
maybe 15.
Yeah. Look at that, man.
Hey,
I think we look better than we did back then.
I look really good for being on a podcast. Oh, I forgot this is televised.
You've got a face for radio.
I do have a face for radio, no doubt about that.
Me too.
So Aaron, tell us, before you get into AVTEQ, why don't you tell us a little bit about your career path, how you got started maybe in technology, and all the way to AVTEQ now?
Sure. So AV truly fell into my lap. When I was getting out of high school, I had no direction. I was a little thug, little hoodlum, loved to party and things like that. And my sister babysat for this couple in Terrell, Texas, little city outside of Dallas. And the guy owned a AV company.
Is that where you lived? Was Terrell?
Terrell, yeah.
So you were thug and hood and Terrell?
Well, thug and hood's probably the wrong word. More redneck. And I'm still somewhat of a redneck. So so he pulled me aside one day. I went to go pick up my sister from her daily duties. And he's like, hey, so what are you doing, after high school? And I was like, nothing. I'm going to go ride the back roads and hang out with chicks and stuff. That's what I'm going to go do. And he's like, so I need some help with my company. Are you interested? And I was like, sure, why not? So basically I started, the next week on a Monday in this downtown Dallas office, super cool place. And I was a gopher for a sales guy. I went and got product. I went and made quotes and things like that for about 6 months. And I was like, this isn't so bad. And in the meantime, I'm going to school on the side, and school's not going my way because I like to go out and party and things like that. And so this sales guy is like, hey, man, you're doing pretty good with customers. You're pretty personable. People seem to like you. Here's a couple small accounts. See if you can grow them. Here's some cold calling lists. So I started jumping on the phone. And then it kind of snowballed from there, started to do well. And then that company, unfortunately, ended up folding up. And then I worked for another reseller for quite some time. And then actually somehow found myself employed with Taurus Technologies for it's probably 4, 5, 6 years I was with
How did
Taurus.
you end up at Taurus? Because when I got here, you were already here. So you left not too long after I got here.
Right. So Wes Burkett used to be here. So I had a relationship with Wes and Aaron Cooper as well. I actually became really good friends with Aaron Cooper. He probably is one of the most important people in my professional development. He helped me tremendously. So did Kevin Langham. But the relationship with Aaron really helped me kind of get going with Taurus. And again, the professional side of Aaron Cooper, really helped me grow out of the trouble.
How did you know he listens to these? He literally listens live. He's listening right now.
Good. I'm glad
He's
to hear
probably
that.
crying.
I hope he is.
All right,
I hope he is.
Don't you cry, buddy.
He's a bit of a crier.
Yeah. But Wes and Kevin and Aaron were instrumental in my professional development. Worked here for 5 or 6 years. And what I liked about working here to start was I was a sales guy, but I was a box pusher, right? You want a Polycom view station. I sold boxes, right? So what Cooper and Langham were thinking is like, look, if you really want to sell this stuff, you need to know it. So they shipped me out on the road. So I started pulling cable, hanging TVs, it's like there's so much more to AV than just pushing boxes. So
and you hadn't really done that.
No, not at all. Right? Not at all. So I learned that portion of it, and it was really cool to know that side. And so that was good. And then the opportunity with AVTEQ came shortly after that, and I've been with AVTEQ, I think this is year 11 with AVTEQ. So I've been doing AV for 20 years. This is my 20th year in AV.
So you started doing AV when you were 5?
18.
Trying to help you out there.
I know, but I'm not that quick with math, so I had to get my calculator out to figure that out. But yeah, 20 years this year in AV.
I lost a lot of sleep when you left.
I bet you did. We had some really good sales meetings on Fridays. I felt that we learned a lot from each other.
We were very productive.
We were, absolutely.
How do you have a sales meeting with like 1.5 people?
It was easy. It was a quick conversation. How you doing? Good.
How do you think the word collaboration started?
Wasn't every day a sales meeting for you guys? What were you really selling?
That really sounds accurate. Yeah,
easily 3 or 4 days.
That was back when we went to a famous wing place like three times a week.
Yeah.
I don't know if that place is so famous anymore nowadays.
Well,
they didn't even have.
I'm not willing to give them a plug.
No, I hear you. I hear you.
Hey, we got a lot of wings from that place, though, because you could win free wing parties. I don't think they saw us coming.
No,
No,
because I
they
remember
didn't.
participating in a few of those.
Yeah. We did that like once every other. Anyway.
But that's
So what's your role with AVTEQ now?
So now I was a sales guy for AVTEQ, dealing with dealers on a day-to-day basis, kind of worked my way up the ranks. So now I run the thing. I'm the president of AVTEQ. So it's been, to me, learning from the ground up has been just tremendous as far as my professional development. And, again, you make a lot of really cool connections in the industry. I know you guys for a long time, but everybody, it's a great industry to be in, and the growth is tremendous in the industry. So
You and I were talking off air, basically. You weren't here yet, but you were here somewhere.
I was late.
Somewhere. Well, so was he, but that's all right. He and I were talking about.
You told me you were here.
He was here. It was 5 minutes late, but he said that counted as on time.
Okay.
But no, he and I were talking about industry growth and trying to find talented folks. And I know in your position now, you spend a lot of time just trying to cultivate talented folks like Robert and I are attempting to do.
Right.
And I know from our shoes, it's, that the growth in the DFW area is huge when you can't find anybody to work.
Yeah. I
mean, there's literally nobody who isn't already being chased, it seems like.
Right.
And we were talking about that before we came on.
Yeah, it is a struggle. I'm a big fan, and I think the reason I'm a fan of finding green people, and sometimes you don't have the luxury of training somebody, right? Luckily, in my case, I do, and I can't speak to how you guys are going, but if finding those young people who are motivated and can be dependable is tough. And then looking for that experienced person on the other side it's even tougher. I mean, you talked about that too. Having that problem is a good problem sometimes, but man, it sure is a headache sometimes as well.
Yeah. So you said you've been with AVTEQ for 11 years?
I think it's 11, yeah.
And what's your title again?
I am the president.
You're like head honcho in charge.
I run the thing now. I sure do.
How did you pull that off?
Well,
That's why it's doing so successful.
I don't. Did a bunch of people just like leave and walk out?
I don't really tell people where the bodies are buried.
That's probably a good plan. We should not get into that.
We can't delete this again, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can edit that.
If you see a small cut in the video, please.
Yeah. Well, that's why I like having property, right? So that way I could. Oh, I said way too much.
I've said too much.
So tell us a little bit about.
That's impressive. You should be. You should feel.
Very impressive.
I appreciate it.
Immensely proud of yourself and your accomplishments. I think that's incredible to me to go from basically an entry level sales guy, right, to literally the president of a multi-million-dollar company at this point.
Yeah, and what ownership likes to tell me is like, you're the face of the company. You're the guy. Everybody that knows AVTEQ knows you. So it was a logical decision for them to make. So I was like,
I mean, you're still even though you're the president, you're still a sales guy
all day.
It doesn't change.
That's what I do.
You're not. You're selling to the public and to your people internally.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't. The role doesn't change.
Yeah. And I love getting in the trenches. There's not. Some people are surprised. Hey, you just answered the phone. It's like, yeah, I did. I'll sweep the floors. Doesn't matter to me. Keep the company going in the right direction and keep things going the way they go.
Don't you think that maybe has a lot to attribute to your success? Is that you think like that, and people need to understand it's not always handed to them, and that they have to work hard. I mean, at the end of the day, you started when you were 18.
Yeah.
So don't undercut yourself and discredit yourself for where you've come from. That's pretty awesome.
No,
I appreciate that. Yeah.
I think that makes a big difference when somebody is willing to lead by example. Aaron got on to me the other day, as a matter of fact, for restocking our refrigerator. He's like, we have somebody that has that responsibility. I was like, I don't know. I saw it was empty, and I wasn't literally in the middle of something right that second. So I started putting stuff in the refrigerator.
Maybe train from our wives too.
I'm kind of particular about how things are arranged in the refrigerator anyway, so it was probably better off. I just
we could never live together.
Oh, no.
I just feel like it just needs to be in there.
No. It's got to be like lined up in rows.
You can't
with
leave it
all
in a
the
box or
labels. No. Hey, this is
look at his face.
Hold on.
Man,
really
that's
excited
an
about
epiphany.
So this is super off track and not technically related at all. But there is a YouTube video that I watched recently of a guy stocking a fridge, and he takes the rectangle box of soda cans.
Yeah.
And he opens it on one end and sets that end on the shelf of the refrigerator and then opens the other end and puts his hand in the box and pushes all the soda cans into the refrigerator and takes the box out.
Okay.
It's pretty clever.
Well, I've been stocking my own fridge
I've been doing that for years.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Can you do that with Bud Light boxes?
I think you could do it with anything.
It works well on Miller Lite boxes for whatever reason, but not Bud Light.
I open the box and I take a can out. I set it on the shelf. I don't deserve this job.
It actually works pretty well with like bottled water in the same respect. You know how the not bottled water, like the plastic casing. So you do the exact same thing. Because you got like 24 waters or a case of water sometimes. So yeah, we are getting off on a tangent. Wow. So tell us about AVTEQ.
I learned something. I now feel really dumb. Thanks, Robert.
Wow. All right. Moving on. So for those that don't know, AVTEQ is a small boutique mount, cart, and furniture company. We got our start basically way back in the heyday when Polycom and then Tamberg, Poly now, then Polycom, and Tamberg, who is now Cisco, or the other way around, used to sell these all-in-one solutions where you got your video codec, your display, and your cart. So ownership at the time said, they're selling those things for pretty penny. If you were to piece that out, there's a market here. So we started selling mobile carts for those big old CRT displays. And obviously, the big old CRTs are gone, flat panels taken over, and that's kind of what got us started with that industry, is the cart side of things. And then from there, it morphs. Business changes, needs changed. Again, flat panels became prevalent. So that's kind of what started the whole movement towards the carts, is seeing basically a hole in the market from what some of the big manufacturers were doing.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that AVTEQ offers today?
So not only do we do the carts and standard mounts, wall mounts and things like that, we do offer some height adjustable mounts. We do a lot of custom tables and custom kiosk. Those two are probably my favorite things. This beautiful table that we're having this podcast on.
This is our guitar pick.
Yeah, this is.
I was waiting for the plug to come.
It was coming. So we sell a lot of these huddle type of tables, conference room tables, and the kiosk. And kind of what's really cool from my standpoint is that the kiosk and the tables kind of breaks up the day-to-day monotony of selling of a hunk of metal, a cart, or a mount. And not that there's anything wrong with it. There will be a need for them, but I like the custom side of the shop.
Very cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting, right? I mean, so you get to design a new piece of furniture. You get to kind of get your mind out of the day-to-day, right?
Well, that's exactly it. Because, we give the customer some freedom on the design. Sometimes they give us some freedom of the design, especially on the kiosk side of things. So yeah, it does break that up and makes the job, not that the job's bad, but it makes it fun in some cases.
And the company's based here out of Dallas-Fort Worth?
Yeah, we're in Dallas-Fort Worth, just north of downtown.
Very cool.
Yep.
So just to break away from that, we like to ask our guests some funny questions. So why don't you tell us something about yourself that the viewers and listeners may not know?
Oh man, something that they may
not just your middle name.
Okay, I'm an avid outdoorsman. Although I guess a lot of people probably know that. Love to hunt, love to fish. I love just being outside in general. Of
course, people know that. If they're watching this right now, they're like, "Man,
that guy.
He could be the new bounty man." What's the paper towel guy that wears the flannel?
Brawny?
That's it.
It's like brownie. What?
You can go sell brownies.
Oh, no.
You'd be so good at it.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but that's my true passion. If there's something to talk about that people may not know, I enjoy the outdoors. I love contributing to any outdoor causes, whether it's here stateside or overseas. I'm a big. I do love animals, despite being a hunter. I know that goes. People think that's contradictory, but
a lot of people find that hard to understand. But it's
sure.
There's as much conservation involved as there is hunting.
Yeah,
especially with an invasive species in any particular region which they exist. I mean, Texas is full of pigs.
Yeah, we talked about that too. So I have a YouTube channel that I started, and it's doing pretty well. It used to be doing too well till they demonetized me, but that was basically taking care of the feral hog problem in Texas. So
in the most interesting way possible,
from a helicopter,
you're going to share that, right?
Yeah,
okay.
From a helicopter. That is the most productive way to remove a large amount of feral pigs off a piece of property, is from a helicopter. And
and if you tell somebody who's never hunted or doesn't understand or doesn't has never heard of shooting anything from a helicopter, they don't know what to envision. So I go to your videos and I pull them up and I'm like, no, literally hanging out of a helicopter, flying sideways, bang, 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 bang. It's wild.
Yeah, I think the most interesting thing is reading the comments that you get. They're
all over the map.
Oh man. I'm glad I have thick skin. It's everything.
Just don't read them.
Yeah, I won't say any here, but yeah, you got to read them. It's humorous in some cases, sad in others, but it's a problem in Texas if you don't know that it needs to be taken care of. And again, the helicopter's the most effective way to do that.
Well, and how did those?
Very cool.
Not to get too sidetracked, because that's basically what I'm good at. How did they get here? Because they're a native species.
No, not at all. From Europe, back in
right.
when we first settled, or the Europeans first settled. The US.
They brought them here, and man, they just went crazy because they don't have a natural predator here like they do in the European countries.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah. I didn't know that.
No, mountain lions are about the only thing, and the mountain lion population is healthy, but there's 4 million pigs in Texas. You're not going to do
wow.
Well, the gestation period is so much quicker than a mountain lion.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, it's
we have a spin-off podcast already in the works right now.
Oh, I could talk about this all day.
All day. When it's you're really familiar with axis deer too, right?
Yeah, I love some of the axis deer and they're prevalent here in Texas now. Free range, some of the best meat you can get off of a deer on the planet. I will take the Pepsi challenge with elk versus axis any day.
So, if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's the Hawaiian Islands that are basically invaded with axis deer, right?
Yeah, they also have a problem. You can go over there.
You can
hang out on the beach and then go hunting. Yep.
24/7, 365. There's no season, but they've become so accustomed to being hunted that there are people who have spent 8 or 10 days there and not gotten a single animal.
Yeah. But it's not a bad place to spend 8 or 10 days, though.
No, we should go.
No.
Let's go.
We should take the podcast remote to Hawaii.
I think that's a great idea. We can write it off then, huh?
Yeah.
It's awesome. I know about Axis.
Yeah,
First time I went and hung out with you.
Yeah, first time you've been hunting, right? Or was that
first time I ever even shot a gun?
Yeah. Well done, too.
No, it wasn't. You're so full of it.
This guy. How much longer is this podcast?
It's a while. You got a while.
All right, we'll get back on track for the viewers. So we wanted to have you in today to talk a little bit about not only the solutions that AVTEQ provides, but why it's important for customers. We, as audiovisual integrators, we have to think about a lot of things. We think about the lighting in a space. We think about how they want to use the room. We think about cameras and microphones and speakers and automation. And a lot of the times, people don't think that the audiovisual integrator should be or can be involved in furniture solution design. And so why do you think that is?
Well, it's becoming, if it's already important that we as integrators are involved from the process from the get-go. But and again, it's important now, but how do I even answer this? So yes, it's absolutely important that an integrator has a relationship from the get-go with the facility folks or whoever that may be on the end user side of things making these decisions. Let's take huddle rooms, for example. A room kind of like this, right?
Yeah.
Shape of a table is conductive to your camera placement. So things like that are need to be thought out, and furniture guys that are AV first, such as AVTEQ, try to think of those things to help that become a smoother process. Cable management, being able to store gear in table pedestals, keeping all that stuff there at the table so you're not making long runs back to a phone closet. And, that's, and I think conversations with architects and GCs, I assume that you guys are probably having those, and a lot of probably, at least from my perspective, a lot of resellers are having those same conversations as well to try to get into those projects sooner so they can help guide the end user in the right direction for that.
Well, from my perspective, a company who manufactures furniture that has AV integration in mind makes Robert and I's life easier, the installer's life easier, because you guys are taking into consideration some of the items that are being installed in this furniture, whether it's a credenza or a table or a kiosk, you're putting things like loops and hooks for zip ties, troughs to hide cabling, and still doing it in a fashion that is aesthetically pleasing,
Right.
and that meets the architect's requirement for a space. Because we know that how a space look is heavily architect driven, and that typically overrides the function of the furniture, because you don't realize until you load it up full of microphones. Well, this table is a prime example.
Yeah, that's a great example.
This table, although you can't see it on camera, has a trough under it. Everything is hidden in that trough. We have 4 microphones. We have hookups for headphones. We've got the touch panel connections. We have computer connections. I mean, all of that is laced into the trough of this table. And if you were to crawl under it right now, you would see the trough.
Right. One of the things that we preach to the partners is asking the question, right? The worst that your end user is going to tell you is no, the furniture is handled. But even if they say no, take it a step further, right? Ask the questions like, so your furniture provider, are they thinking about this, this, and this? Having that furniture piece on a quote is a beautiful line item sometimes. And again, you're helping yourself, you're helping the end user in the end. And again, you're giving them aesthetically pleasing piece of gear too.
I think the other thing that really doesn't have anything to do with technology for me is we know when the table's showing up.
Yeah, true.
I don't know how many projects we move around simply because the furniture isn't there yet. And maybe it's a custom order piece. Maybe it's on back order. Maybe it's being trucked from another country, whatever the case may be. Oftentimes it's, hey, the furniture will be here XX date, and our tech team will schedule it. We'll show up, we'll start work, and then we'll ask, where's the table? Well, it's going to be here next week, or maybe the week after. At least from our perspective, if we're handling it, then it's our responsibility to deliver the table.
Right.
And our purchasers are communicating with us and saying, hey, it's due to arrive on this date, or it's back ordered on this date, etc.
It's a one throat to choke approach, right? You know, I'm a big fan of that too. And again, that's advantageous for end users to think about. 100%.
So at AVTEQ, besides tables, or really just for the entire product set, is there something that's the most popular for you guys right now?
So when video was being changed the way video is done, it became desktop prevalent, things like that. So cart sales kind of went down in the gutter because set tops weren't being used as much. What saved it for us was the interactive flat panels. So now interactive flat panels are everywhere. And with that, you know, our cart sales has spiked with that. We sell some very basic, attractive carts that are great for these flat panels, like a New Line or a Cisco WebEx or a Microsoft Surface Hub, you know, that have the cameras, the microphones, everything built in, where they just need something to set this display on to move around. So right now, you know, the most popular piece for me are the carts, and it's we sell a lot of the height adjustable carts.
That was going to be my question. So are the height adjustable carts, and I'm sure I could look this up, but are they ADA?
Yes.
Or is there an ADA compliancy for a cart, or is it more just being a thoughtful manufacturer in this case?
It's a little bit of both, right? With carts, with height adjustment, it's getting it down to that level. Because it's not on a wall, you don't have as much ADA things to worry about. But getting it down to that height and being, again, a thoughtful manufacturer is kind of the thought process behind that. And the height adjustable mounts have been a big part of our business the last 2 years. K through 12, which is not a market we traditionally played well in, that's opened the door for us in K through 12 as of late, and that's been really good. But yeah, it's again, the cart has come back to be one of our most popular movers.
So is it a cart assembly that has the adjustment on it, or is it like an add-on piece, or how does that work?
So it's we have 2 different models. We have a static model, our RPS 500, and a height adjustable model, the dynamic RPS 500. The dynamic one has the height adjustable mounts. Okay. And it's part of it, and then the static is just the regular 500. That's just the static.
I didn't know if you could retrofit an existing.
No, we thought about that quite a bit. So we kind of shied away from that now, but that may be something that may come back up in the future.
So how do you guys, the techie guy in me, and I've never asked anybody, How do you test the up-down cycles on a height adjustable mount? Or do you? Or is there?
That's a great question. There's a guy named Josh that sits out in the warehouse and
just pulls them out down, pulls it up, pulls it up. No,
we're at 1,235 today, boss. May I go?
Yeah, there is some testing that are done with those mounts. Honestly, I can't speak to specifically what those tests are. We OEM the actual height adjustable mount. But yeah, there is a cycle test that they do. I'm just not privy to what that is. It's not a piece of information I retained, unfortunately.
I don't know that it's that terribly important. I was thinking about another manufacturer, completely unrelated product, but they were like, it'll survive 27,000 cycles. And I'm like, how do we know that? How do we, like, did you put it in some sort of robot arm and it, you know? And I'm thinking from like the automotive manufacturing standpoint, they actually do that. I mean, like if they have a component and it's put into a jig and they run it up and down 27,000 times. Yeah. So I'm wondering if manufacturers in the AV space who make some of these claims to add a bullet point to a cut sheet or
That's an interesting question. I'd like to know actually. So I think I'll take some homework back to me.
It's somewhere. Corey and I were on a tour of a manufacturing facility for one of our automation providers. And when we were there, they were testing out this residential version of a touch panel that had a magnetic solution to the wall, and they built a testing solution, so a fan that would simulate hurricane winds at different.
It was
angles.
an outdoor rated.
Oh wow!
They wanted to know like how many miles per hour would a wind gust have to be to knock this thing off the magnet. It was pretty cool. So they're out there doing it. 80 miles an hour.
Was this the one that was waterproof?
Yeah.
So they had a tube, and I think they showed us the tube.
Yeah, that was cool too.
They had like a 4 or 6 inch clear plastic tube full with water, and they basically sink it to the bottom to simulate pressures at depth to determine its NEMA rating, essentially, on how waterproof or water resistant it is. And there are literally half a dozen of them sitting at the bottom of this tube, and then they take them out, they take them apart and test. So I know people do.
That's a good
testing on some level.
You're sitting around with the family at Thanksgiving, and you're like, "So, what are you doing these days?" You know, maybe you're catching up with an old family member. I'm testing these dynamic height adjustment mounts. What are you doing? Well, you know, it's pretty involved. I don't know if you guys got time for it or not. No, of course we're gonna be here for hours. You just kind of just move your hands a little bit like this, and then like down like that, and you just do that. You do that, pretty much the entire week.
Well, the great thing about the mounts in all seriousness is that if you adjust it right, you can literally move it that easily. So at least you're not getting carpal tunnel or something, right?
We're all thinking of ways to do a business.
Yeah, I'm like, so do you need somebody to build a robot for you to test these mounts?
You need.
That's what we need is more robots.
Oh man, that's a different podcast.
So can we get sidetracked again? Because I love robots.
We can talk about robots all day. Too.
Well, probably it's more AI for me than it is robots.
So back to some of the products that you provide and some of the things that you see. You kind of mentioned a couple of the outside the box ideas.
Yeah.
I absolutely love the cable management piece underneath tables.
Yep.
The false legs with equipment storage that allow us to not only store equipment and not only maybe cut in a table box that has some of those cables that fall into the leg, but the leg obviously having access to be able to get to it after the fact. So a table like this doesn't come standard with that. This is a huddle table, a bar height, stool height. You know, for this room, it's perfect. But when we had that challenge, so what other outside the box ideas are you seeing out there? Maybe not just from AVTEQ, but around.
So I'm a big fan of retractable cable reels. I know there's a lot of manufacturers making those now. I like seeing those in tables, and frankly, I'm not sure how well those work, to be honest. But I do like seeing stuff like that. I'm always a fan of displays in tables. I know the integrators may not be a big fan of that, but from a wow factor,
motorized out of the end of a...
From a wow factor, I think that's always super cool. But, you know, I don't know, again, how practical and how... We've ran across it a handful of times, but I've
seen like confidence monitors for like executives in tables where, you know, it's a big oval table, and then they've got a, 14 or 16 inch monitor rise up out of the table. I always thought that was... from the automation standpoint, I always thought that was super awesome. It just seems a bit excessive.
And that's what I think about the displays popping out of the table sometimes. And hey, sometimes it's called for, right? But it is one of those things like,
are you familiar with the retracting microphones? We've done quite a few of those. And again, something else I thought was incredibly awesome, but probably excessive or overkill. But if a really nice room, wants to be clean and clear of 100%, technology, 100%. But you're still looking for the best of the best, then we offer those.
Yeah.
Have you seen people asking for wireless charging in the table?
Yeah, it's come up quite a bit. We had, I think it was Infocom last year, the year before, we brought a table. And forgive me, but I do not remember the manufacturer that we kind of partnered with. I don't even think they're around anymore, but we had put some in a table. It worked okay from what we saw. But to me, that's still a very interesting thing that I'd like to try to integrate more, especially because we're doing a lot of a personal desk, height adjustable personal desk now. And that's something that is on my list of goals next year to get integrated into some of our tables. So I just got to hunt down a good manufacturer to work with on that.
That's an amazing idea. I remember seeing it. I think that was 3 years ago.
Well, it may have been 3 years ago, yeah.
But I'm thinking on a broader perspective. So we have laptops that are getting thinner and thinner and lighter and moving away from traditional power cords into USB-C power. But why not put an inductive charging mat that can charge your laptop? So if I walk into a boardroom or a conference room and I just set my laptop down on the table, I don't have to worry about a cord or a cable. And if I could charge my phone or any other, my earbuds or whatever else, if I could just set them on the table.
Yeah. Yeah. As that technology advances, it's something that, again, I certainly want to keep an eye on because, so we just moved, it's been a year now. So in our brand new building, we built all our own desk. And that's one of the things that we talked about when we were building them out. It's like, hey man, it'd be really cool to include these. But again, at the time, we didn't find some of
the tech's not there.
Right.
So you guys are planning to be on the forefront of that. That would be awesome.
As far as integrating into a table.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I don't mean the charging technology itself.
Yeah.
I mean, there are plenty of companies who can do that, but you just got to come out with a way
to make it look clean and
make it look clean. And
I think some of the challenges is the way I've read is that there's a thickness limitation to it.
And
so if
exactly
you're going to do it post, then there's only so much space that the inductive charging plate can travel through before it's effective. And so I think that poses a little bit of a
100%.
challenge. And then the devices, once the laptops start coming with it, I think that's really going to make a push
100%
to the industry to say, look, we've got to have a solution now. Before it was a luxury to charge our phone.
Right.
But are there even any laptop manufacturers that are considering this?
I've been doing a little reading. I'm not going to plug them right now, but yeah, there are some. It's going to start with, just like there's displays that don't have to have traditional power, and some of them can power it over HDBaseT, for example. I think that they're going to be smaller form factors. Probably start with the resi market, more like tablet style, if you will.
Well, even the problem with a tablet is once you prop it up, you've lost your...
Yeah, and the case that's on the tablet. And so, but I think it's a really cool idea.
Sure.
And the other thing that I really liked that you guys did, and I don't think is really done enough, is the whiteboard tops.
At every show, whether it was NeoCon or Infocom or some of the smaller shows that we took those tables to, people loved them. We didn't sell very many of them. I could probably count on my two hands, and again, I'm not good at math, of how many we actually sold. I think a lot of it had to do with the glare. Like, for instance, a couple of the rooms we sold it to were a video room as well, and that one of the big complaints we got was like, hey, the glare coming off the table is pretty gnarly. But yeah, I was always surprised that we didn't move more of those tables because in theory, it's a really cool idea.
Great. I don't know that it's great for a big video conferencing room where the table may be 24 feet long and in a V-shaped. That may be too much. It could help flush out the iris of the camera. It could be bad.
Sure.
But I think, just a ton of huddle spaces where you're trying to go in there and you're already doing things that may or may not involve technology. I think it'd be really cool to have a small space like that where I'm sitting there. I didn't bring any paper because we're getting more and more to a paperless world.
Yep.
And there's just some markers there on the table, and
So,
just mark.
do you think that could have been potentially nixed by architects? You're kind of cornholed into
That's a good question.
one color and one sheen.
But it doesn't
of
have
the
to be
table.
one color. It could be whatever color you want. You just have to understand that if it's a red table, you can't use a red marker.
Right.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So at NeoCon is where we got the most wows. NeoCon's the big furniture show. They do NeoCon East and NeoCon. We took the table to both of those, and people loved it. Absolutely loved it. It just, I don't know why it never really caught fire for us, but we still have the capability. We can certainly still do it.
What it again? Same with the charging mat conversation. Why can't it be an electronic board?
Yeah, it can be.
I mean, something with a USB in that you could digitally capture what's on the. I don't know the technology behind it, but what would stop
available. There's again, not to try to plug other companies, but there's companies like eBeam, for example, that have a device that allows you to. It shoots a beam across the surface up to a particular size, and then anything that you're writing on that with a traditional dry erase marker can be digitally captured onto a computer. And so it doesn't have to be just for the purpose of you sitting in front of me and I'm showing you my best, Looney Tunes drawing.
Well, I'm thinking a surface like this. I'm not actually writing here. I'm kind of transposing, and it's on a display mounted on the table or on the wall or on a touch panel.
I could see his creative brain thinking he's like, man, we're gonna get this here.
And it's not a beam thing, so I can still have my coffee cup. I can still have my piece of paper. I just plug a USB into the bottom of the table, and I literally draw. Or if I want to use a traditional piece of paper and I'm writing on the paper, the impression is felt by the table and it's showed up. Now, obviously, if I hit the table, if I rub the table with my arm, we have other problems to solve. But
I think you're
maybe
poking holes in it, just like wireless charging.
How are you going to keep
doing it?
How are you going to keep him from spilling his Miller Lite all over the place?
Maybe it's an active pin situation where if you have the active pin, that's the only thing that works.
Okay,
we can solve it.
Sure.
Like it.
You talk to me after this. We'll go make $1 million.
I love money.
All right, so I got a pop quiz for you.
Yes, sir.
Let me just preface this by saying I don't know it to be 100% factual. I was told this by someone else, very esteemed in the furniture industry.
Okay.
Not some of your competitors.
Okay.
I wouldn't do that to you. We go way back. Sales meetings, remember?
We do. Oh, yeah.
All right. So why is it that the traditional desk height is 30 inches?
To the top or the bottom?
To the bottom. Well, let's say top-ish.
29 inches to the bottom.
Yeah, well, tell that to some of the cable retractor manufacturers.
And that is a good question. If I were going to guess, it would have to do with a normal height from your knee to the floor when you're sitting, and then that height from your knee to your torso somehow. If I were going to have an educated guess, that'd be what it is.
That was stupid. And let me tell you
hold
why.
on. I have a similar answer I would like to give since I don't know
would
the
you
answer.
Would you like me to go ahead and squash that before you give your answer?
Yeah, let's squash this.
I'm going to let him have it. First of all, like Dirk Nowinski? You know who that is?
I've heard of him.
Okay.
Dirk who?
Let's just call him Dirk.
Okay. Dirk.
So he is approximately 7 foot tall.
Yep.
Okay. You remember a guy named Sean Bradley?
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
just going to keep on naming
Mavericks
players, ex-Mavericks players. He was 7'7". Do you think that a traditional height desk and measuring the distance from the bottom to the knee?
Yeah, but what I'm thinking was averages is what
So,
I was thinking.
My wife is 5 foot.
Okay.
Do you think that
okay. Well, maybe my answer was dumb then.
I mean, I could keep poking holes in it. The answer is wrong.
So I got rewarded no points?
Again, we're going to Google it after this, so we'll figure it out. All right, look at his face. He's like, I
had a similar answer, but it was related to the elbow and not the knee.
No.
All right.
The answer is it was established because of the height of a file cabinet. A file cabinet.
Hold on. Stop. You're telling me a filing cabinet existed before the desk. So we needed a place to file items before we had a place to write on those items.
A two-drawer.
Hold on. I'm not done.
I'm not saying like back in ancient Rome, the desks were different then. They didn't even call them desks. They just called them wood.
I needed a place to sit down and type out my messages onto paper and then take them and put them into a filing cabinet.
All right.
And put them into a filing cabinet conveniently placed under my desk. You're telling me that filing cabinet and its established drawers and height was done prior
That's correct.
to the desk.
To the scroll age is what I call it. I don't mean like scroll on your mouse. I mean like
I don't know how you feel about this answer, but I'm calling shenanigans.
Yeah, we're going to Google this when we're done.
Okay. I'm just saying.
Look below for the answer. It's gonna be right about here-ish for the real Googled answer.
You know, a lot of people sometimes they doubt my ability to tell a factual statement like that, but this is totally real, man. I got it from a solid source.
I believe that you believe the answer.
Okay.
I'm having a hard time with myself, so I'm anxious to see what we got here.
Oh, sorry. I had to ask a question because I heard that last week, and we were all sitting around the table, several of the salespeople and I, and we were rebutting to the same thing.
Right.
Like, no man, come on, man. We've seen desks in movies for years. Come on.
They have in Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah. And I'm betting they were about 30 inches to the top.
I don't have anything to spin off of it other than that's what I was told. And I believe the person that told me.
But what if the filing cabinet had been made at 40 inches?
Man.
Then everybody's legs would be dangling.
Everybody would stand.
Yeah, but if it was just the way, like, you sat in a car to drive, but what would be the problem if you stood in a car to drive?
Have you ever sat at a bar stool long enough with your legs dangling where you can't touch the ground and you can't put them on?
I'm very thankful that we have such a great partner that has helped us out with a custom table to where we actually have.
Oh no, we have
a bar rail. So right down here, it's very comfortable.
I would bet
stay
dollars
in the seat
to
for
donuts
hours.
if we measured the bar to the top of the table that my feet are resting on currently. It's similar to a seated desk.
I bet not.
Give
That's
or
our
take an
second bet.
Give or take an inch. Also found right here.
Aaron, thank you so much for joining us, man. I hope you had a good time.
No, I appreciate it. This is our second podcast. We did one somewhere else.
That's right.
That's right. It's great to talk to you guys. You guys are great friends.
You know what I think which should be our follow-up podcast?
What's that?
Is we only do trivia.
Oh,
we just do furniture trivia.
Oh, okay.
Except this time.
Furniture trivia.
Except this time. Yeah, like stuff like what was the desk called where the Declaration of Independence was signed?
Oh, I can't remember.
This is called the Resolute desk.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
See? 1-0.
All I could think of was the movie.
What we'll do is since Corey's way too competitive, it'll just be me and you, and he can come up with the questions.
I'll mediate.
All right,
I'll come up with the questions and Google the answers ahead of time.
Can we just do AV, not just furniture?
Oh, absolutely.
And then we can have some other people in here do it too.
Why do you need other people?
Because I need some help, man.
I like that idea. How about we get another? Do you have anybody you want to bring?
I could probably think about it.
So it's either that or another Taurus team member. We'll bring them in. You bring somebody.
Yeah, I can do that. All right, great.
We'll put them right
Deal.
here. I'll come up with 15, 20 questions, and we'll do a trivia session.
Can I pick from your team as well, or like from your pool out here?
Tell you what, since you're the guest, you pick anybody you want, but they're a competitor because you could lose to them.
Okay.
You know who hasn't been on that you talked so highly about?
Who's that?
Aaron Cooper.
Oh, that guy?
That'd be perfect.
I think it'd be perfect.
Nah,
you could recount your love for
does he
what
even
he's
still AV, bro? I don't think he does.
I'm trying to help you out here because
we're still on camera. So awesome.
he's not a ringer. He's not. You'd have the game sewn up like you.
Would he though? I'm in it. What are you talking about?
So I think you would be a dead ringer.
What is happening?
Let's set a date. Let's do it.
All right, I'm in.
All right, guys.
Well, thanks again, Aaron. We
Appreciate
really
it, as
appreciate it.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. For myself, for my co-host, Corey Church, thanks, and y'all have a great day.